As Pat said, there's only so much to watch, and he hasn't had a lot of NFL experience. We liked him down in Carolina in the draft, had him pretty highly rated. So, it's kind of like having a Christmas present or a Hanukkah present, and you get to unwrap it eventually. I thought I was done. I was excited.
You picked McCaffrey top 10 last year. A common theory that you can get running backs later in the draft with Saquon Barkley. Where do you fall on
You know,
top 10 versus later?
and your name is
Ryan from NJ.com.
Ryan. Okay, Ryan. The bottom line is the guy a football player? I mean, it's this whole myth of devaluing running backs. I find it kind of comical. At the end of the day, if he's a great player, he's a great player. It doesn't make a difference what position it is. But the other thing that sometimes listening to Pat, hey Joe, how you doing? Good kid. At the same time, listening to Pat, sometimes I think it gets lost in the sauce. Football's the ultimate team game. Now, you blow a whistle, 11 guys got to go out there, okay? Both offense, defense, and special teams. And everybody's got to understand every player is important. And that's why when you're, looking at the second pick of the draft like we are, the first thing we have to determine is this guy worthy of being the second pick of any draft? Not just this year's draft, of any draft. And then you make that determination and you move forward. So positioned, Joe and Bill have seen my act down there. If he's a great player, I don't care how stacked we are at that position, we're taking him. It's all about accumulating talent.
Dave, you spoke somewhere about wanting to avoid quarterback. How much does it weigh on you that you have a quarterback who's closer to the end of his career and you want to make sure the franchise is okay with him?
Well, really and truly, obviously I think about it. It's but it's a monster puzzle that we're putting together, and there's other things that you got to look at as well. Obviously we know that if you don't have a Q, it's going to be a long season. We know that, but we'll come to the right conclusion.
What's your general impression of this QB class? Is considered 4, maybe 5 first round?
I'll tell you what, it's an interesting class. I mean, all shapes, sizes, all flavors. I mean, this is like Howard Johnson's back in the day. It's a real interesting group. I'm excited about meeting some of these guys here. It's going to be fun, and obviously we'll be busy. Once the combine's over, visiting, and you have your 30 private visits. So that'll be part of the process. So it's a really interesting, eclectic group.
How important is that combine interview for quarterbacks?
It's only 15 minutes. Jordan, at the end of the day, really and truly, can you really know anybody in 15 minutes? I mean, it's like speed dating. So, at the end of the day, it's an introduction.
Dave, how much, obviously the quarterback is, you say it takes 11 to get that, but the quarterback is kind of different. In fact, if you take a quarterback, the goal is to not have him versus the number 2 guy, not a quarterback, who can come in and make an immediate, impact on the team. Kind of like, how much insurance do you have? How much insurance do you have?
Well, nobody wants the one to go down, and then you don't want to go to get there, Paul. But at the end of the day, you evaluate, you bring in the guys that you believe in, you go through camp, and again, when you start camp, your roster shuffling doesn't stop. Roster building's a 12-month season. It's just the way it is. And you've got to understand that things happen, players become available, and you've got to be willing to pull the trigger, and we will do that.
How much does Davis Webb's presence on the roster affect your decision-making when it comes to quarterback?
I mean, like I said before, we had him, highly rated. Pat thinks highly of him, and there's just a small NFL sample size. I mean, it's all part of it.
Will you rate him against the quarterbacks coming out of the school as well?
It's a pretty good idea, Paul.
For years in small, they're all standing up, they're not ready for the NFL game. Does the NFL have to adjust at some point that this is what a lot of the linemen coming into the league are doing? Is there a happy medium in terms of both sides making it work? Because a lot of times it hasn't worked.
You know, Kim, it's a hell of a question. I'm sorry, a good question. Like hell of a. At the end of the day, if you watch football, okay, the NFL, you know, obviously the college game is, a lot of it's really different. If you watch how it's evolved, it's changed. I mean, style, whatever. But really and truly, if you watch the teams that win in the NFL, you got quarterbacks that are making plays from the pocket, and you got offensive lines they're running old school NFL runs with little twists. So it's really imperative that, you know, everybody's got two O-line coaches. It's really imperative that they be great teachers, because like you said, Kim, some of these kids, I mean, there are guys that start for 4 years, and the only time they have their hand in the dirt is if they fall down. You know, they're in 2 points the whole time. Occasionally, you'll see them in a 4-point on the goal line, but you know, your two O-line coaches have got to be great teachers, and then the other thing you have to do is you've got to get them as many reps as possible. There's a theory that you need 5,000 reps before you're really ready. I don't know if I subscribe to it, but you think about it now, obviously that doesn't mean just on the field, that's practice as well. But, you know, it takes time. Think about all the positions on the field. What's the most awkward? You know, you think it's natural for a 320-pound kid to back up and do this? It's really not natural. They want to come off, and we teach them that. But it's become more difficult. But you got to when you evaluate hog mollies, you have to be patient. You have to take your time. So you look for the things that all the great ones can do. Hey, Darren, how you doing? A little incognito with the beard there. So anyhow, you have to look at all the basics. Does he play with a base? Can he roll his hips? Can he do this? Can he do that? And you'll find those guys that are in 2 points that can do that.
Can you see all of that here in the drills here?
A little bit. It's helpful, but it's really with the pads on. You need the pads.
How open for business are you at 2? And would you deem it a buyer's market or a seller's market with all these teams?
You know, there's so much stuff going around. Are we open for business? Whatever. I want to make, any decision I make is going to be in the best interest of the New York Football Giants. Plain and simple. So if someone makes me an offer I can't refuse, would I move back? It depends upon who's there. Because again, if there's a guy worthy of being the second pick of a draft, and what we're basically saying, if we answer that question to the affirmative, you're drafting what you think is going to be a Hall of Fame player. Okay, so you can't get too cute about the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, do you see it though? How do you see the market? Buyer, seller? Teams all how do you work?
You know, we're going to find out, aren't we? We're going to find out.
Dave, what would be your, hi, how are you?
How you doing?
Good. What would be your understanding level if Odell were to take the position of wanting a deal done without participating in any team activities from the standpoint of having gotten injured last year and really even being more hyper-vigilant about that?
Okay, let me say this to you guys. All right, and Joe Person and Darren and Jordan are going to start laughing. I don't talk about contracts. I don't talk about negotiations. I believe that's personal, and it's between the club and the player. Okay, so I'm not going to speculate. Just take it. We'll see what happens. That's all.
Dave, when you evaluated your own offensive line, we watched the tape last year. We have a lot of decisions to make there. Justin Pugh, TJ Fluker, at center, et cetera. What did you see? What did you like? Do you still believe it needs total revamping? Do you see a lot of positives?
You know, you have to be practical. You have to be realistic. All right. When I watched the offensive line, you know, they had a ton of injuries. So, I mean, the last group that finished the season in Washington, what I really liked is they played tough. They were physical. They got after it, and they did a really nice job. You know, listen, I said in my opening presser, I'm not going to lie to anybody. I mean, give me a break. But we're gonna do it piece by piece, and if the right guy's there, we'll make a move.
How do you view Justin Pugh?
I'm sorry.
How do you view Justin Pugh? He played tackle.
He's a versatile, smart football player, and I mean, really, he's a four-hole guy, which is unusual. And you know, we're still in our evaluation process, and we're going to figure it out.
What's your thoughts on,
I'm sorry.
Through your evaluation process, in terms of, I know it's probably way too early to think about draft board for soon, but for you personally, you come here with a pecking order at number 2 in your mind, and maybe you made a list, or how do you approach that?
No, we had our readings in February. Okay, we went through the first time. Now we're gathering information. We get to the draft in April. All right, we'll add all the new information. And then we do this crazy thing called have a discussion. Okay? So, you know, and you know, Pat's involved, obviously, very involved in the draft. And we'll talk it through. And at the end of the day, I believe in collaboration. I believe in communication. Everybody in that room is going to say their piece, and then it falls on me to make a decision. You know, but I have no preconceived notions. I just don't.
what's your thoughts
Where do you
on,
stand on Eli Apple at this point?
Where do I stand?
Eli Apple. On Eli, not even standing up.
Okay, no.
Where do you stand on it?
It's a new
What
day.
you heard from him and what you
Well,
the situation that happened last year?
we had a nice visit. You know, Eli came in and we talked for about 25 minutes, a half an hour, and had a good visit and broke bread, so to speak. And I told him it's clean. Let's go. Let's go. So that's where we're at.
You would expect him to be on the roster next year?
I would expect him to show up April. You know, I hope he shows up April 9th. How's that?
Two more.
Well, they just, you know, I think, Joe, I think you need to check with Mister. Okay? It happened. You know, I said it publicly, Joe. You know, it's any time something like that happens, there's a different, you know, we all have to understand that we're complicit. We're all complicit, okay? So I have to step back and be honest, and I've got a great wife that'll make me do that. And you know, Joanne doesn't pull any punches, and you have to understand that when there's a difference of opinion between people, you know, you guys have all had arguments, and you ladies have all had arguments with people. If you have a difference of opinion, somewhere in the middle is where it should be. And you know, it's his franchise. He made a decision, and here I am.
what's your thoughts on Janoris'
Last one,
consistency
last one.
level and your comfort level with that when you look at, you know, comparison of how he played in San Francisco to how he contributed in the game afterwards? I'm not talking contract. I know the guaranteed money is done in his contract, so I'm just curious how you feel about Janoris Jenkins' consistency level and work ethic.
You know, we can all be more consistent. You know, all of us in our daily lives. You know, Janoris is a very good football player, and you know what? It's like I've said to guys. Every time you guys write an article, are you writing a Pulitzer Prize winner? No. Okay. Every decision I make, is it the right one? No. But at the end of the day, we try to get better. And Janoris is a very talented, gifted player, and I've gotten to know him a little bit, and I'm excited he's a New York Football Giant.